Yeah. Woo! Woo! Just have a cheering match. What's up? It's Kevin Kenny. We're live in New York City on the Build Series, corner 4th and Broadway. And we have a heck of a rock band on the show today. These guys have achieved a hell of a lot of success in a very short amount of time when you really think about it. 2 number 1s so far off the album Okay, I'm Sick, a 3rd on the way. Give it up for Badflower.
Thank you.
How are you, gentlemen? Welcome.
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm excited to talk to you guys. I said in the back that you guys are actually a band that has something to say. Which is
unicorn
which is
band.
exciting for a guy like me who has to talk to bands all day, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks.
Well, what's your normal experience with the band who has nothing to say?
Well, will they have nothing to say?
Yeah.
What
do you say when the band has nothing to say?
I say a lot, because then you got to care. It's almost like being on a bad date. You know, when you go on a bad first date and they're not saying anything, you're like, well, geez, you know what I mean? I got to fill all this space. But
right.
There's kind of nothing worse than that, right? There's people that make music and then they don't really have anything to say about the music.
It depends. It depends on the consumer. Some people like escapism. They like to just like zone out and listen to music. Other people like to confront shit, I guess. And if those people didn't exist, we wouldn't have careers, because that's what we do. We're a confronting kind of group.
Well, I was going to say, you're definitely the latter of those two options.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But you know what's funny?
We're terrible at aesthetic. We learned that we learned that really early on, that we were not good at like the cool visual. We're good at like telling stories.
This jacket's pretty cool, dude.
Well, this is John Varvatos.
Right.
See, like
that's where John comes in.
Exactly.
Right?
I didn't design this. I just put it on.
Do you think you could ever design fashion?
No.
Not at all?
No.
You just don't have that part of your brain, or what?
Well, what about you guys?
I don't think I would. I like to consume it.
Yeah.
Definitely. But also, I'm kind of like cheap with my clothes.
Yeah.
This is all Target.
I think I could if I put some effort into it.
You'd do good. You do well.
You could do?
I think you'd make a banging model.
John Varvatos.
See, I'd like to, but just for myself. Like, only design clothes for me.
That'd be pretty boss.
I get that.
I think Kanye was doing that for a while.
Custom clothes.
I think that's how it starts, right?
Right.
Well, you talk about your love of just the kind of music that you guys make. How intertwined growing up was your love sort of that aesthetic, whether you can create it or not yourself, of like great rock acts or just great musicians overall? Was that big for you guys?
For me, it was all about songwriting. Like that's the only thing that mattered. I never really had that sense to enjoy the aesthetic of a band, like necessarily what they were wearing or their whole, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself on this. I feel like Joe's an aesthetic guy. Like, look at him. Look at the sunglasses. Like, he's ready. He's ready to talk about his 80s hair metal phase. And you know what's funny? We bonded over that 80s hair metal stuff, but not because of the aesthetic. It was because of the songwriting.
Yeah.
Like that Mr. Big song was one of the first things that the two of us were so into. You gotta do it into the mic so they can hear you.
I don't do that into the mic.
I like the look. I like the look of a rock band.
Tired of the Mr. Big covers.
Organized group.
But who
really
are those
funny,
other
though.
bands though? All of those bands that Joey and I bonded over were all very like hair metal-y 80s fashion thing. But I don't think
and then
we
stuff
ever.
like Oasis, where they weren't overly flashy or anything, but they just
Oasis is pretty flashy.
Oasis?
Yeah.
It's not very flashy. He wears a parka on stage and just kind of stands there.
Track suits.
There's a lot
It's
of
a
flash.
parka and tracksuits. Like if I wore a parka and tracksuits, that would be a statement. You know what I mean? That would be flashy, no?
In their own way.
You look like you
they had their unique aesthetic,
on a
I
jog,
think, right?
And went on stage.
So then, if you grew up into the aesthetic, who stuck out to you? Was it like sort of the hair metal?
Well, it's,
He's making assumptions on the way you look.
No, you just told me
the one
that
who
he
brought
likes
it
hair
up.
metal.
That's true.
I'm with you, Joe. I did the aesthetic thing in high school. I had a vest, and I carefully crafted like where my patches went. And
I remember that.
And the whole thing.
Yeah, I just liked it
liked
when bands like look good, but in a different way. They kind of stood out. Like if they wore like nice tailored suits or something.
Totally.
Even when the Beatles started, they were all in suits and stuff. But it's just that, damn, you look.
Well, because it's a show, dude, at the end of the day. And I feel like increasingly, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just trends and maybe it's cyclical and it'll come back around. But it's like, you know, like you pay money for a concert. I want a show. I don't want dudes that look like the guy who lives next door to me necessarily. And to each their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but imagine you had the dude who looked next door to you but could like sing a song for you that made you weep.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's even cooler that guy's not flashy, that he's just like a human being. That's different tastes. Like that's the thing that I'm into. I want to see the neighborly looking fellow who can just like deliver a line.
Well, you just told me you love songwriting, and I want to talk about your approach to songwriting because you called yourselves confrontational, and I think that's a great word for your songwriting. You're very direct, you're very specific.
Yeah.
You don't like songs that are up for interpretation. Why?
Because I've found that anytime we've written something that can be open for interpretation, there's nothing genuine about it.
Mm.
Like, okay, well, we're just writing these lyrics that are broad enough that the public can probably feel something, but we don't feel anything personal. I don't know. I think that's what we found our niche. We found that what made sense for us. We wrote a couple songs that were very, very specific, and they weren't like burying the concepts and metaphors. It was just like saying the thing. You know, like if you're angry at somebody, you're not gonna read them poetry.
Mm.
You're gonna tell them, I'm fucking angry at you. And that's the most effective way to deliver that line, to make that known. And so why aren't we doing that in songwriting? Like, why do we have to overcomplicate these things? Why don't we just say what we feel?
Right. Well, and also it's commentary on, like, I almost likened it to, you know, when you meet somebody and they're just like, they're nice, but you can tell they want you to like them.
Yeah.
I want you to like them. And I don't know why, maybe I'm a crab, but like it makes you like them less because of how hard they're trying for you to like them.
Yeah, totally.
And, you know, I work at a radio station here in New York City, and sometimes I hear this stuff and I'll be like, that song sucks, man. And to my boss or whatever.
Right.
Like, yeah, but the research, man, like everyone loves this song. And it's like, yeah, because it's built to be liked. It's not saying anything.
Yeah,
right.
it's
just designed
manufactured.
there. Yeah, so it's like, well, let's see, what's like the most broad human interest, right? Like feeling good, you know, like having a good time, like, and then that's what they build the song around. And you guys have been open about like just the formula, the stagnant formula of radio songs.
Yes. And yet somehow we became a really successful radio band.
It's ironic, right?
It is very ironic.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because our taste in songwriting happens to be, aside from the lyric approach, just the structurally, we like that formula. Like, we like the formulaic stuff because it works. Like, there's a reason why that works. Why, like, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus works, you know? But then fill those verses and choruses with some content that actually matters and that can hit somebody in the heart, and then you get two number ones.
Yeah.
Hit song.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the record To My Side, Okay, I'm Sick, which the two number ones are off of. And again, fingers crossed, the third on the way, already in the top 10.
We got it.
You wanted to make a record specifically for this generation. I love something you guys said in a recent interview about, like, it's a gripe I have about music is, like, there's this, like, nostalgia. And nostalgia's fun and it's great and it's whatever. But, like, I just feel like a lot of times, especially our generation, like, we're missing the present a lot.
Yes.
You know? Because it's like, well, yeah, but that's great. Like, now's happening too. And that was a big intent with this record. Talk to me about that.
That was the biggest intent with this record, was especially in the rock genre. I think there's other genres of music that are quite present. They're doing it well. Like, they're bringing the nostalgia back to the present and then writing, like, lyrically, they're writing some relevant stuff. I just think that, like, in the rock genre, every band is afraid to admit that they're on their iPhone all day long scrolling through Twitter. Like, why can't you write a song from the perspective of that person, the person that you actually are, who is living in this society and functioning the way that we do? Like, why are we afraid to say these things? And if you listen to any rock record that was made in the last, I don't know, 40 years, they all sound like they're the same generation.
Right.
Instrumentation might change. Like, you'll hear rock bring in some of the EDM drops and things like that because that becomes trendy and people like it. But lyrically, you can't tell the difference. You can't tell if this song was written in 2019 or in '84.
Well, I don't want to kick it to you guys here just as I'm going to take it rock fans. Don't you feel like all those rules and all those constructs has seemingly held the genre back?
Yes.
It's such a defined, you think of hip-hop, right? Or even country nowadays, these genres that are exploding.
Yeah.
It's because anything can be deemed that thing, and it's such a judgmental audience, and I love the audience, and I grew up a rock fan and still am one, but it's like, dude, there's just too many rules in this world where there aren't any rules.
Well, people keep talking about how rock is dead, and then they point fingers at, like, bands like us and other bands like Kylie says, all these other bands, and they're like, oh, you're going to revive rock. Well, here's the thing. Rock is dead because nobody's making rock for kids anymore. When I say kids, I don't mean like but for, like,
Kids Bop is still thriving.
Kids Bop is dope. But I just mean for the angsty teen
Yeah.
that Nirvana used to be for.
Yeah.
Nobody's making music. Nobody's making rock music for those people. Hip hop's doing it. They're
Yeah.
making it for that audience, and pop is doing it, and so many other genres are doing it. Rock stopped. Rock has been made for, like, the old guy, which is cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with the old. There's, okay, boomer, it's fine. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to be that band. We want to be the band that, like, I don't care to bring rock back. I just care to bring cool songwriting back to an audience of people who I think are smart enough to handle it and don't need to be fed that, like, radio repetitive cliche thing that we've heard a million times. I think people are ready to hear some real stuff. And we like incorporating the guitars because we like guitars.
Yeah.
If we didn't like guitars and we like synthesizers, we wouldn't be a rock band.
Yeah.
But the lyrics would be the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think rock is like, I don't want to use the word aesthetic because we've probably use that word more than any interview of all time. Aesthetic.
And it's a hard word to say too.
It's a multiple syllable one, but no, it is. I'm not.
It's
a word.
That was a joke about me. But no, it's an attitude, right? Isn't rock more of an attitude?
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
It's only an attitude. That's
yeah.
it.
And
Yeah.
you guys just choose. You guys are great at guitars, and you're great at these traditional instruments. So that's sort of the vehicle that you choose to maybe
To
illustrate
deliver the
your
attitude.
or communicate your attitude. But I think you can find an attitude. Like I bet Uzi would wear something like this. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like this is like a.
Honestly, I wear it because it's warm and it was free.
I know. I'm a little jealous. I wore a T-shirt to work today on a 45-degree day in New York City. But getting back to just rock right now, and you guys being one of the few young rock acts, as creatives, how do you find white space or open space, if you will, to create? So much has been done in this genre. You know what I mean? It's been taken so many different directions. Do you guys ever think about that in the studio?
No. I feel like it's open. I feel like it's wide open because nothing creative, nothing new has been done in the genre in forever.
Right. So
At
what do
least
you
that's
want to
how
do?
we feel.
Not to be too specific or like corny, but like where do you when you look at like the places that you can do something that hasn't been done before? What is it? Is it just speaking to this generation?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to the lyrics. Everything's been done instrumentally.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has been like there's not a sound that hasn't been used in any genre of music, and now they're all crossing over. Like you're hearing country songs that have hip hop influence, and you're hearing hip hop songs that have country, and like you're gonna hear instrumentation is. That's a tricky one. But lyrically, there is so much that hasn't been said, and I'm ready to say it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
You have my bass.
Huh?
And his drums. And his guitar.
And musically, yeah, I don't know. We just like that part comes
Lord of the
naturally,
Rings,
you know.
baby.
I think we don't think too hard about the music behind the songs because we do whatever's right for the song. So when we're all in the studio together, when the song is written, it's like we will play our instruments that support the song, and if anything gets in the way of the story of the song, we'll cut it. Like there's no acrobatics in the way that we play. Where a lot of bands do, like, oh, rip into the solo and do this really complex thing. We're like, yeah, but can you write a song?
Yeah. What's your guys' test? It's funny, you were on the road with Shinedown, right?
That's right.
So when Shinedown were on the show, they were talking about how they have this like a campfire test where they will take a song out and just play it acoustically, just hanging out in somebody's backyard, and if it sounds good there, then that's a good song. Do you guys have a test like that?
No.
No. Well, then how do you know if a
we'll
song?
send songs off to like friends and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll gauge by people close to us.
Just friends that may not like your music, or is there like?
We don't have friends that don't like our music. They are out of the circle if they don't like our music.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, friends, but like people from the label and everyone on our management team, like everyone who's involved with this group. There's a lot of people who are involved with this, and we take everyone's opinions very seriously, and we think they're all very important. And then we also have people who are friends with us who started as just fans of the band. And they're some of my favorite people to send stuff to, like pre-release, because they started as fans of the band. So, they're the best gauge. But also, we don't care. We don't care if people like it or not. If it feels right for us, then that's what we want to put out.
That sort of a reverence to validation is something that's like definitely a throughway in a lot of the things that I read about you guys and things that you guys say. And the sentiment has been expressed of you don't want to make something for consumers to consume.
Yeah.
And I'm probably doing a poor.
No, that's exactly what it is.
But then how do you marry having a career? Because that's a fine line, right? Like you obviously have a
We got
label
lucky.
that wants people to consume your product. So how does that relationship work?
If people stopped liking our music, we would just do something else.
Okay.
We wouldn't. I don't think any of us would ever be happy conforming to what version of Badflower people wanted us to be.
Right.
So even though we could make a lot of money doing that potentially because we're good enough songwriters and performers that we could really just do anything, I suppose. That's kind of cocky, but look at this jacket.
Yeah, you just couldn't do that.
But that wouldn't make us happy. We would be miserable people.
Yeah.
Even like some of our earlier songs that we don't feel like sound like us anymore make us feel uncomfortable to play. And that was still us, things that we wrote, but they were, a different version of ourselves when we wrote those songs, and they don't really feel like they resonate with us anymore. And I couldn't imagine having to go up on stage every night and playing songs that I didn't feel
couldn't do it.
mattered
Want to do it
to us.
And it would be disingenuous.
Genuous. I would rather play to 3 people playing songs that we love than 30,000 people playing songs that we hate.
How does when a song so early on in your career like Ghost just goes wild like it has? I mean, like 25 million streams on Spotify alone.
Yeah.
How does that inform your trajectory, the art, your approach?
Again, it doesn't. It doesn't. That doesn't affect. We don't let that affect.
But you must have to play defense against it because somebody in that room goes, "We want another Ghost."
Nope.
No one says that.
We fired those people.
Did you? Okay.
Well, we just don't have those people around. Like we this is our third record label. And we used to have people in the room who tried to sway us certain ways, like, oh, people like this from you, so you should try to do this. And that's why we're not with them anymore. So we finally found the record company that truly doesn't get in our way and lets us be creative. And they've like, there's nothing, you know, on the business end, they're good business people, and they'll take what we've created and go, cool, I know how to market this, I know how to work this, I know how to get money out of this, I know how to get make the band bigger. And we're like, great, do it, thank you. But they don't stifle us creatively. They wouldn't do something like that.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of the dream.
Yeah, no, we're really lucky. We're really, really lucky because most bands don't have that. They don't have that kind of relationship with their team.
Right.
And they don't have that kind of respect from their team, especially so early on in a career. We had that respect before anybody cared about the band.
Yeah.
You know, before, like in the very early stages when we had no fan base, we had nothing going on, they still respected our creative vision.
That's
And I
awesome.
think that's led to the success of the band because they trusted our vision entirely. They didn't need to step in and change things. They signed us because they liked exactly who we were, and they allowed us to, like, even the music video that you saw, we have leverage now. We have budgets. We have things like, there's so many different things that we can do. And we still chose to use my dog in the video and his daughter in the video and self-direct it with our, the people who go on tour with us. And everything was done completely in-house and by us, only the band, because that's how we wanted it to be. We could have hired some big shot director and, but that's a perfect example of the kind of creative freedom we have with our label and that I know we're going to have forever.
I hope the pooch got a SAG-AFTRA rate.
I think I just inherited that.
Let's go to Twitter. One of your fans wants to know, shout out to @SpencerC200. Are you ever going to revisit the other cartoon songs like
Love your
Animal?
profile pic too. That's me.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's our sweet lighting rig.
That's awesome. Like Animal, or will you continue to just make new music? I love you guys so much and love the new concept. I'm just wondering. Smiley
Well,
face.
we still. Thanks for bringing up that. Spencer. We still play Animal on stage every night, always. So, we would never re-record it though. It's like it's out. It was on our first EP, and that's that. And no, we're way more focused on writing new stuff than
Good.
backtracking and rehashing.
What did Jay say? If you like my old stuff, buy my old albums.
Right. Yeah, they're still there.
Take that, Spencer. I'm just kidding. All right, let's get to some fan questions here in New York City. The first is going to come from up front. What's your name?
Ashley. Hi.
Hi, Ashley.
So I heard that you initially didn't want Wide Eyes to be on the album, but now you're opening with it at your shows. So would you be willing to talk about that or not? Sorry.
I
Great
love you
question.
guys so much. I really, really do. So what's the question? Why?
Just like the transition, yeah.
Okay. We used Wide Eyes in the promo video for the tour. I don't know if you guys remember that video. We made this video where we're wearing these jumpsuits and we just smash up a bunch of cars with the dates of each city. And it was the best song on the record for that promo. And then when that promo went out and people loved it, and we know that people love the song, it was just like unanimous. If we don't play this song live, people are gonna riot. Like they're gonna hate us, and we don't want people to hate us. So there is a little bit of balance. And also I guess I've stated publicly many times that I hate the song. It's not that I hate the song. I don't love the recording of the song as much as like the older demo versions of it. The song doesn't feel to me the way that it did early on, but I get that people love it, and I do love the song. And when we play it live, it feels better to me. It's the same song that I enjoyed when it was first written. And also we played it first so I could warm up my voice in the song I cared the least about.
Isn't it funny how
That's the tea.
how often production can mess up a great song? Not saying that it's there. I'm saying like with all due
No, but
respect,
it can't. In this case, it didn't mess it up.
Yeah.
It just made it very specific that a lot of people love, and I get why they love it, but I loved it for different reasons that the production kind of like took away.
Right. So now it's their song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, we have time for one more. They're telling me.
And it's
We're
my
gonna
warm-up.
get to, second one right here. What's your name?
Hi, Malls.
What's up, Malls?
So I know you guys are very vocal and open about your political views, and I was wondering if you have ever had to like work with someone who was very aggressively in the opposing direction of that, and what that was like.
Ooh. Yes.
We've never toured with Ted Nugent. Who else would it have been?
No. I have a good one. John Varvatos and I butt heads because I'm vegan, like a very vocal vegan, and he's still using. I'll never wear leather and stuff like that, and he completely respects me and my opinions and would ever force that kind of thing on me, and I completely respect him and everything that he does. But that, I think, is a solid example where we have like a really great working relationship, but we do not agree fundamentally on something so like important to me and important. Yeah, like it. And we have a song called Murder Games. It's like that is like the vegan anthem on the record, and he loves the song and he thinks it's important and wants it to come out. Like, so I feel like it's all about that mutual respect. Like, if you have that, then you can work with anybody, even if you have opposing views. We also think it's really important to listen to people who you don't agree with. Like, really listen, not just wait for your turn to speak, but like listen. That's how you become a well-rounded person, and that's how you don't get pitted into this into some like category or some group that everybody's trying to do. Like, oh, you're on the left, you're on the right, you're this, you're that. Let's stay out of the categories. Let's be ourselves. Like, let's have our own opinions about everything, and enforce the ones that we think are important, and that's that.
Nice. Good job, Malls. It's also important to do that with music, don't you think?
Sorry?
Don't you think it's also important to do in music? Like, sometimes if I'm just like,
Yeah.
dude, what is, like, I don't get this band at all. I'll ask, like, I want to talk to a fan of that band so I can maybe understand, like, why people like X, Y, or Z.
Right.
You know? I don't know.
I think it's important to be opinionated always, as long as you're informed.
Yeah.
If you're uninformed and you have opinions, you are the worst.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than somebody with loud opinions who has no idea what they're talking about.
There's some quote, like, there's something worse like an idiot with confidence.
Yes.
Like that, you know?
Right?
Like, yeah.
I
Well,
wasn't even pointing at anyone specific. I just wanted to do that.
We got to wrap things up here, but I do just want to draw attention again to the John Varvatos partnership, because you guys have been signed to his label, I think, for 3 years now. But this is more of like, you guys are the face of, you say it so I don't butcher it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're the face of his newest campaign. It was an absolute honor and privilege to be a part of that. I think the person who did it before us was like one of the Jonas Brothers, and you know, Gary Clark Jr. did it, and Ringo Starr. Like, all these amazing people have been
awesome.
involved with the John Varvatos campaign. So we were like, and the way he asked us was so casual too. It was just on the phone. He's like, "Hey man, watching the charts, like Jester's doing really well. Things are going really well. Yeah, it's good to catch up. Oh, by the way, do you want to be on our next campaign?"
Sure.
What? Yeah.
I'm pretty now.
I haven't walked into a John Varvatos store yet, but apparently in the John Varvatos stores, and there's one here in New York. We got to check it out. Yeah. There's like our pictures are all up.
Oh, that's awesome! Literally, the store is right down here.
Oh, is it?
It's like
I
you
gotta
could
check
probably
it out.
walk to it from Build.
Sure.
So if anybody wants one of these jackets,
Right over there.
hit up JV.
And then before we go, you're heading to Hamburg in like a week. What are the next
Yeah,
shows?
all-
Going-
Europe.
All over Europe.
Yeah,
All over
okay.
UK.
Right
Yeah.
on. Well,
They
this
leave
is
in
fun,
the
guys.
Philippines.
When you're back in New York City next time, stop by.
Will do. I got to tell you,
Yeah.
before we wrap, I was like nervous to do this because this is like a big. I'm a huge Bill Burr fan,
Okay.
and I watched Bill Burr on Build Series do an interview and just like have a meltdown about how uncomfortable the chairs were. And it's one of my favorite bits ever. Like, I used to watch it religiously because it's so funny. And so thank you for changing the chairs, for one, because these aren't the ones that he had a meltdown about.
Were they brown? Because those
They
were
were
terrible.
like small, and his
were
whole complaint
rounded?
was they only hit half your back. He's like, what is it with these chairs? Like, he had this whole bit. He just went on. The whole interview became about how uncomfortable the chairs were, and it was like my favorite thing ever. So I feel honored to be sitting on a different chair, but in the same room as Bill Burr.
That's growth. All right, guys. One more time for Badflower, everybody.
Thank you.